sure we take back the White House, because if we do, we're going to make America better than ever before. We're going to make it.
Yeah, look, there he is.
Easy, because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people, criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here. And it's much tougher than if it happened to be. We have the strongest border ever. In recorded history, we're the best border. In fact, if they could ever put up a chart, I don't know if they can do it. Do you guys have access to that chart that I love so much? You don't mind if I go off teleprompter, do you? Because these teleprompters are so damn boring, I try and explain that. Oh, there's it. Wow. You guys are doing it. They're getting better with time. My guys, take a look at that chart. Take a look at the arrow on the bottom. See the big red arrow, right? So that's when I left office. That was the lowest point, and that comes right from the government services, comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. So that arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever in recorded history into our country. And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to look at this, see something that says, what happened.
I hope he's turning this way. Be careful, guys.
We got breaking news. Coming in. Shots fired. Seems to be shots fired at the Trump rally. Is he okay? We need to go live right now. We don't know if President Trump has been shot. We know he hit the ground. We do not know if President Trump has been shot. He's up. He's up. Shots are still continuing to be fired. He's giving a thumbs up, everybody. He's giving a thumbs up. I wouldn't even be doing this. I'd be at some beautiful place with a gorgeous ocean.
Look, they're all pointing.
The Atlantic, maybe the Pacific.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Right there, see him? He's laying down. You see him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
And son, I'm here with you fighting like hell to get a senator.
What's happening?
And to make sure we take back the White House, because if we do, we're going to make America better than ever before. We're going to make it.
Yeah, look, there he is.
Easy, because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people, criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here. And it's much tougher than if it happened to be. We have the strongest border ever. In recorded history, we're the best border. In fact, if they could ever put up a chart, I don't know if they can do it. Do you guys have access to that chart that I love so much? You don't mind if I go off teleprompter, do you? Because these teleprompters are so damn boring, I try and explain that. Oh, there's it. Wow. You guys are doing it. They're getting better with time. My guys, take a look at that chart. Take a look at the arrow on the bottom. See the big red arrow, right? So that's when I left office. That was the lowest point, and that comes right from the government services, comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. So that arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever in recorded history into our country. And then And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that says,
I hope he's turning this way. Be careful, guys.
We got breaking news. We got breaking news coming in. Shots fired. Seems to be shots fired at the Trump rally. Is he okay? We need to go live right now. We are live right now at the Trump rally.
One shot right here, Mike.
We don't know if President Trump has been shot. We know he hit the ground. We do not know if President Trump has been shot. He's up. He's up. Shots are still continuing to be fired. He's giving a thumbs up, everybody. He's giving a thumbs up.
doing this job, I wouldn't even be doing this. I'd be at some beautiful place with a gorgeous ocean.
Look, they're all pointing.
The Atlantic, maybe the Pacific.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Right there, see him? He's laying down. See him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
And still I'm here with you fighting like hell to get a senator
What's happening?
elected and to make sure we take back the White House, because if we do, we're going to make America better than ever before. We're going to make it.
Yeah, look.
And it's
There
not
he is.
easy, because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people, criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here. And it's much tougher than if it happened. We have the strongest border ever.
Good morning. Rise in freedom. I'm Maxim Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. It's Thursday. We're almost there. Friday is coming soon, right around the corner. Lots of reasons to be happy. And if you're not happy right now because it's so early, grab a cup of Founding Flavors coffee. One of my favorites is Franklin's Electric Elixir. More on that later. This morning, we are reporting that Joe Biden has COVID-19. And when he posted on Twitter yesterday that he's sick, it was then hastily memed, of course, but then they tried to cover it up with a "I'm sick of" something tweet right after that. But it was too late. The internet had gotten a hold of it, and we have all of the memery to share with you here today, along with, of course, 100 billion clips, 100 million billion Googleplex. Listen, Kermode Bear, I know you're trying to prank me this morning by saying the mic is off, but I double-checked it. I've been turning into a little microphone Nazi these days, so too bad.
How dare you?
How dare you, Kermode Bear? I know that the microphone's working. We've got a lot to talk about today, and I've got a lot of incredible stuff to announce, which is that not only do we have an amazing bonus content for you today, like I produce for you every day. I work so hard for the money. But today's show is going into overtime. Yes, that's right. Extended content. You get bonus content on top of your bonus content, and it's all for free. But I would love it if you would, bless me.
Can you bless me with something?
Oh, gosh.
Money-wise. Please.
Can you suck it?
Yes, that's right. Today's Wake Up America show goes into overtime. Instead of ending at 9 a.m. Central Time, you better find an excuse to slack off from work. or maybe step outside for a smoke break. Even if you don't smoke, keep your mobile phone with you to be able to watch the show when we go into overtime today, because we have a guest at 9 a.m. instead of ending the show today. So you're welcome. What guests do we have for them, Johnny? Well, at 7:30 a.m. Central Time, we'll talk to Maxim Lott, the creator of electionbettingodds.com, about the calls for Joe Biden to step down out of the presidential race from not only Chuck Schumer, but Nancy Pelosi as well, apparently warning Joe Biden about the oncoming disaster if he stays in the presidential race. There have been polls that were done on a head-to-head matchup between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. So the question is would Kamala Harris be a better candidate against Donald Trump than Joe Biden? Will Joe Biden agree to drop out? He's now suffering from COVID-19 and will be convalescing at his home in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. So we'll keep an eye on that story. We're going to be talking about a lot. There's a million billion memes, a million billion clips, and a lot of stuff to laugh. A lot of MSNBC clips to laugh at this morning. I know you like that. At 8 a.m. Central Time today, we're going to speak to Chamilia Peterson. A woman got fired from her job at Home Depot after a conservative activist by the name of Chaya Reichek, also known as Libs of TikTok, revealed that she had proudly stated that Donald Trump should have died by the assassin's bullet who attempted to kill him at a rally in Pennsylvania last weekend. Conservatives pounced, but this time not against liberals, but against their own, saying that it was wrong for us conservatives and libertarians, right-wingers, to force that woman out of her job. Home Depot announced that they fired the woman from her job after the video emerged of her saying that she thought Donald Trump should have been killed. So should we libertarians and conservatives engage in a little cancel culture? Would that make us hypocrites? Yes, but it's okay. And I'll explain to you why I feel that way a little bit later. Chamilia and I will have a discussion about it. I'm sure she'll take the other side, the sweet little bleeding heart. Oh, don't hurt the little Home Depot lady who lost her job. Listen, it's not like she called for universal health care and we tried to destroy her life. When people call for our assassination or the assassination of our friends, family, neighbors, relatives, people on the right, then maybe we need to stomp that out before that fire continues to spread. What do you think? Well, I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can send me a text at 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586 there at the bottom of the screen. At 8:30 a.m. Central Time, we've got the lovely Daniela Pensac. First time on the show since we announced the For Liberty Network. She'll be starring in her own show on the For Liberty Network, which will be hosted on Locals. I've already switched over the Wake Up America show's page, not branding yet, but the URL to forliberty.locals.com. We'll be expanding the brand into the For Liberty Network as well as the For Liberty Shop as we continue to grow a liberty network of people who fight for economic freedom and personal liberty. Daniela Pensac starring Daniela. How exciting is that? At 8:30, we'll speak to Daniela Pensac about Elon Musk leaving California, and he's taking his jobs with him. You'll love to see it. There's just nothing but good news all over the place these days. Lots and lots of news, and most of it is very good. We'll speak to Daniela about that at 8:30. At 9 a.m. Central, typically we would go to and we would end the show. But today, that's not going to happen. Today, we are actually going to continue the show by having a special guest. The managing editor of the Babylon Bee, Joel Berry, will be on the show today. How fun is that, guys? The Babylon Bee on my show? Man, I'm just starting to feel a little. Don't get pretentious, AP, just because everything's going very well for you in your life right now. Things could take a dramatic turn, so just try not to spike the football yet until you're a millionaire. Well, I don't want to be a millionaire. I want to be a billionaire. So effing bad. Hey, just some fun stuff. If you're a fan of AP, Ben and me, in search of a founder's formula for a long and useful life. I'll just tell you the story real quick. Somebody contacted me about a week and a half ago and said, hey, are you still selling Buddha Benjamins over on your shop? And I was like, well, yes, we are. He's like, yeah, well, I tried to buy out on eBay, but it said you were sold out. And I was kind of like, oh, that's interesting. And I said, well, how did you find out that we sold Benjamin Franklin Buddhas at our shop? And he says, well, I was reading a book by this author by the name of Eric Weiner, Ben and Me, in search of a founder's formula for a long and useful life. And he said that in this book, he mentioned that he went to a website and bought a Buddha Ben, chapter 16. Let's go to page 132 here. An entire chapter, and this is a New York Times best-selling book. I had no idea. An entire chapter, here it is, devoted to Buddha Ben. And he talks in here about, he says, the more I investigated, the more I became convinced of the Buddha nature of Benjamin Franklin. I searched library shelves and bookstores and the deepest recesses of the internet when wham, up popped Buddha Ben, and for only $14.95, prices have gone up since then. A bargain Franklin would like, I'm sure. My Buddha Ben obsession began innocuously enough. There it is. And Steffi and I, we both got a shout out here. So here's the thing. It's this is hilarious. You guys have got I can't wait for Steffi to read this. I reach for a pair of scissors. I'm about to unbox. I have unboxed before. I have unboxed watches. I have unboxed leather planners. I have unboxed shoes, handheld massagers, coffee makers, and more bags than I care to admit. This is different. The blades sever the packing tape easily. I unhinge the cardboard flaps and reach inside. Slowly, ever so slowly, I lift the contents and place it on my desk. I remove the paper packaging and stare at my purchase. It stands, or rather sits, only 6 inches tall. It is a gold statue of a man seated in the lotus position, legs crossed, eyes closed, hands resting on his lap. He appears to be deep in meditation. The crown of the man's head is bald, but long strands of hair unfurl along the sides, settling on his shoulders. The resemblance is not obvious. It takes me a few seconds, but it is undeniable. The man is Benjamin Franklin, Buddha Ben. I reach for the card that accompanied the package. It begins with a Ben quote, "He that can have patience can have what he will." Then this, we hope this Buddha helps you find patience. Be free, Steffi and Austin. Hey, Stephanie. You got to mention in the New York Times best-selling book. Now, you can get those Buddhas yourself at forlibertyshop.com, and it looks like our friend Cecilia Harden unlocked the bonus content for you guys today in honor of Benjamin Franklin because she bought the Benjamin Franklin mug and some Founding Flavors coffee this morning. You silly suckers. You get to watch the bonus content right away when we go to our first guest, Maxim Lott, at 7:30 a.m. Central Time today. Are we having fun here on the Wake Up America show already, guys? Am I hitting the applause? Okay, should we talk about the news? Okay, then let's do it. Joe Biden was asked if he would drop out of the presidential race, and here's what he had to say.
If there had some medical condition emerged, if the doctors came to me and said, you got this problem, that problem. But I made a serious mistake in the whole debate. And look, when I originally ran, you may remember it, I said I was going to be a transitional candidate. And I thought that I'd be able to move from this, just pass it on to someone else. But I didn't anticipate things getting so divided. And quite frankly, I think the only thing age brings a little bit of wisdom. And I think I've demonstrated that I know how to get things done for the country, in spite of the fact that we couldn't get it done. But there's more to do, and I'm reluctant to walk.
Yeah, he never thought that things were going to be so divided. I never anticipated things would get so divided, despite referring to Donald Trump as a dictator and authoritarian, and many people in his party calling him literally Hitler. They never thought that things were going to get that divided. You know what I mean? Right. You and your cronies caused the division. Thank you, Mighty Megatron. Exactly. Now, Joe Biden posted yesterday on X.com that he was sick. I'm sick, he posted. It was reported that Joe Biden had COVID. And now apparently Joe Biden's social media team has zero self-awareness. They put out the perfect tweet. I like this one. Karine, this isn't working out like we planned. No, they're not reading the second tweet in the thread. Instead, they're just memeing and poop posting the second one. Someone should teach them how Twitter works. Joe Biden, I'm sick. We figured that out after reading Ashley Biden's diary. Whoa, whoa.
How dare you?
How dare you, Tim Pool? He's fighting for his political life, and his social media team is putting out clickbait. What the F is happening, says Florida Dad. President Mitch says, somewhere in Washington, D.C., there's an intern that thought this tweet was a good idea. I'm sick. Here's Joe Biden. They used the from the movie Philadelphia, where he's dying of AIDS. I'm sick. I like this new meme format where they say the person is saying the thing underneath the picture. That's actually really cool. Joe Gabriel Simonson, I have a steak dinner bet with a friend over whether Biden is the nominee. And every time Biden does crap like this, I spam him steak emojis. Okay. Laura says, oh my God, did Joe accidentally get a hold of the official Twitter account? Yeah, here is Joe Biden saying, I'm sick, looking at the little girl while he tries to sniff her. Well, that was quick. Biden says he'd consider dropping out if a medical condition emerged. This may be the dumbest, clever tweet ever. If people don't click on it, it's just an opening for derision. Tweet of the night. The staffers didn't expect how this tweet would go. Jonah Goldberg reposted it. It says, I'm sick and tired of these mother effing snakes on this mother effing plane. Good one, Jonah. Greg, after eating Taco Bell for the third meal in a row, never leaving this website. I'm sick. Because if you actually click on the tweet itself, some intern thought it would be funny. I'm sick of Elon Musk and his rich buddies trying to buy this election. And if you agree, pitch in here. No, I don't think so. I don't think Joe Biden is going to make it. What do you guys think? I'd love to hear your thoughts. I like this meme right here. It shows Joe Biden after beating COVID, like he's Donald Trump in the, assassination day. Instead of the American flag, it's the gay flag. There you go. Look, I made it. I made it. And if you think that that's actually a joke, MSNBC really, truly believes that. The meme became reality when Joy Reid said this.
Here's the question that I have on that. These two men are both elderly. Donald Trump is an elderly man who, for whatever reason, was given 9 seconds to take a iconic photo op during an active shooter situation. Weird situation. We'll figure that out one day. But his survival of that and bouncing right back and going right to his convention is being conveyed in the media world as a sign of strength. This current president of the United States is 81 years old and has COVID. Should he be fine in a couple of days? Doesn't that convey exactly the same thing? That he's strong enough, older than Trump, to have gotten something that used to really be fatal to people his age. So if he does fine out of it and comes back and is able to do rallies, isn't that exactly the same?
It should.
I mean, it's not exactly the same. It's not the same incident, but it's an elderly man coming through out of an illness.
It should.
Yeah. Joe Biden recovering from COVID should be seen as a sign of strength, similar to how Donald Trump survived an assassination attempt. Thank you to Clay Travis for that clip there. I think I'll keep this. I'll probably want to play that again. Here's Justin Hart posting Joe Biden trying to get in the car.
When he got down there at the base of the stairs there, he was asked questions by reporters. He told them, I am doing well. He gave them a thumbs up. He is now going to be isolating at his beach house. And we did note he wasn't wearing a mask there when he came down the stairs. But
he wasn't wearing a mask. He's just, you know why? Because it's a joke. Because they know it's fake. Because they know it's fake. It does appear once he gets
in the car that he puts that mask on. David.
Puts the mask on. It appears that he might be getting a little help just getting into the car there. Hard to make out through the rain what exactly is going on there. But it does look like certainly that the president's feeling the effects of early in the stages of COVID, and many of us have been there. So we do wish him a speedy recovery.
I had COVID, and I did not have a problem getting into a motorcade vehicle.
John Carl, you're reporting earlier on World News Tonight, getting some pickup tonight across several news outlets. You reported on this meeting that Chuck Schumer had with President Biden. This was Saturday, and it was not long before the...
Yeah, Chuck Schumer calling for Joe Biden to drop out. God, I have so many incredible videos, things to share with you. This Nigel Farage clip made me laugh yesterday. He says, sometimes I wonder why I bother.
Is that the sense you've got that he's having a tough time right now?
He's talking about Trump. Is that the sense you've got that Trump is having a tough time right now?
Is that the sense you've got that he's having a tough time right now?
He nearly died.
Do you think he's having a tough time right now?
He nearly died.
And is that...
Just love Nigel Farage. He's the man. He's the man. He's a maniac. All right, I've only got 5 minutes until I've got to go play the bonus content for you and go get Maxim Lott in the show this morning. I can't do any more clips, but I have to read this story to you because when I read stories, it's always like everyone's like, oh, it's an outrage. It's an outrage. But when I read this story, I'm going to read it to you almost verbatim. I just was gobsmacked. Give me $5 for that word, Chamilia. Gobsmacked, I tell you, when I read this story. Photo editors from major news outlet fear that the bleeding Trump images will be used as propaganda. I kid you not. I kid you not. You are not, I mean, just wait. Here, just read this. A photo editor at a major news outlet, this is from the New York Post, said media outlets should scale back on running the iconic image of former President Donald Trump pumping his fist after surviving an assassination attempt, calling it free PR for his election bid, right? Stop running that photograph, the media is saying. The journalist believes the historic photo showing a bloodied Trump back on his feet moments after a bullet pierced his ear could be a form of propaganda that could further their agenda, despite the photographer's intent of capturing a news event. This is according to Axios. Several photos snapped by Evan Vucci of the AP, Anna Moneymaker of Getty, and Doug Mills of the New York Times have gone viral. The amount of publications that have been using the, quote, dramatic images is kind of free PR for Trump in a way, says the editor, who worked for a media outlet that gets millions of visitors every day. I don't think we've discussed enough what these photos and videos could mean, the journalist said. The photos are particularly poignant, of course, because some of them show Trump pumping his fist with the American flag hoisted on the crane in the background. The photo editor said that it was dangerous for media organizations to keep sharing the images despite how good they are. It reminds me of that TikTok video that I played for you guys the other day where like the girl is like, I got some really bad news. Donald Trump, yeah, he got shot at. He almost was assassinated. And she's like, oh, really? And he lived, right? They're like, yeah, he lived, but just here's the bad news. Well, what's the bad news? It's like, he looked really cool. Like, what do you mean he looked really cool? Well, he looked really cool. Well, like what? Like he got back up after the assassination and pumped his hands down the air, blood pouring down his face and shouted USA and fight, fight, fight. Yeah, he looked really cool. He did exactly that. Wow. That sounds really cool. Yeah, exactly. It is. And the reporters know it. They're saying, stop running this photograph. The editor said no one was talking about how these photos could impact public perception in the rush to get it out. Another reporter who works for several major publications says they were concerned the photos would be in the service of a propaganda machine that would seek to paint Trump as a martyr. Oh, man. This is some funny stuff. Yes. So reporters are saying, stop sharing this photograph of Donald Trump because it could be used in propaganda. Speaking of propaganda, I have taken the photograph and turned it into a Japanese manga, which I don't know if you guys are into it, but I just thought it was cool. The reason why I came up with this idea of taking the iconic Donald Trump shirt and turning it into, hold on, see if I can, is this the actual product page? Yes, it is. And turning it into this is because after the assassination happened, a bunch of people in Japan, a bunch of Japanese people were buying my Donald Trump merch. And so I thought to myself, there must be a lot of Japanese fans of Donald Trump. So what I did was I took this and I turned it into a manga, right? So if you are in, I know that there's like probably nobody who's going to buy this, but I just liked it. So I just made this beautiful like manga style drawing of it. And on the tripe, it's on the side, it says, Donald Trump wa kiriru, wa ikiru. I think wa ikiru te. Donald Trump wa kiteru. Waikiteru. Donald Trump lives. Thank you. My Japanese is a little. Cecilia says, did you see the manga anime that someone made of Trump getting shot? Yes, the actual video of it. I saw it. It was awesome. That's where I got the idea. So if you're into that kind of the thing, you can get this at forlibertyshop.com. I'm the only person in the world who has a Donald Trump Lives Japanese manga shirt. Donald Trump wa ikiteru. Yosh. Hajime. Arigatou gozaimasu. Hai. Ohayo gozaimasu. All right, it's time for us to go get our friend Maxim Lott. You lucky sons of bees, you get to watch the bonus content nice and early this morning. This week, the bonus content is presidential assassinations attempted and successful. Which one do you think is going to be next? We'll play that for you now on the For Liberty Network. We'll be right back with Maxim Lott. It's going to be a lot of fun today. Don't leave.
Wake Up America show continues our theme of presidential assassinations. Let's look back in history to the murder of President John F. Kennedy. President Kennedy was struck in the upper back and head while Texas Governor John B.
Welcome back to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. Glad and thankful to have you here. I hope that you enjoyed that bonus content. This week's bonus content theme, presidential assassinations. Today's, of course, John F. Kennedy. Thank you to Cecilia and to all of our guests who make contributions to help unlock that bonus content. You're also going to get some free bonus content today. The Wake Up America show is going to go into overtime, and instead of ending at 9 a.m. Central Time, we're actually going to continue with another guest. His first time on the show, we're going to have Joel Berry, the managing editor of the Babylon Bee, on the show today. So stick around for that extra content. You're going to love it. It's an amazing show today. We've got lots of special treats for you, including my next guest, Maxim Lott. Major Democratic figures now calling for Joe Biden to step down. He posted yesterday on X, well, I say he posted, but probably some intern, some brain dead intern, said, I'm sick. And then continued of Elon Musk and some people trying to buy our elections. Pretty boneheaded. Maybe they're suffering from the same problems Joe Biden is suffering from. Here to discuss the odds is Han Solo, who says, never tell me the odds. Maxim Lott joining us now live on the show. Good morning. How you doing, Maxim?
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, so we're going to take the opposite of Han Solo's approach here. The odds have been changing a lot. The bettors currently think that Kamala Harris is more likely to get the Democratic nomination than Biden, and that she's a little bit more electable than Biden, though neither are favored against Trump. And those odds have been shifting dramatically in the last 2 weeks on every bit of news, like Schumer's calling for Biden to drop out, or might be. He relayed the concerns of his caucus, I believe is how he puts it. A lot of shifts there.
Now, you, Maxim, have said you don't believe that Joe Biden would step down. However, you did not foresee the major heads of the Democratic Party other than Biden doing what they're doing. Has that kind of like shaken the foundations of your view there, or no?
Yeah, so firstly, I think, the markets are the best thing to look at. They're just like the stock market. They're very efficient. There's one thing you want to look at, it's the betting odds, what's going to happen. But very occasionally I disagree with them. And one case here has been whether Biden will drop out. And I'm betting my own money on these markets that he won't drop out. I still have those positions. And my reasoning is that if you just look at Biden's incentives, it doesn't make sense for him to drop out. And he still has about like a 30% chance of winning if he just stays in this. And I think the polls confirm that. He's often losing by 2 or 3 points, which is still losing, but it's something that could change if, something happens. So he can win. He wants to be president. He still seems to have enough of himself in his brain left that he's this guy who wants to be president. That's my logic. It's true. I did not foresee Schumer and Jeffries going into his office and saying, hey, our caucus has these huge concerns. Maybe you should do something here. We'll see. I still suspect that won't convince him. And
yeah, I saw shifty Adam Schiff had jumped on board as well with the Biden needs to go train. Talk up to us, though, about Biden's incentives. You say the race is very winnable for him.
Yeah, like the bettors say that he has if he is the nominee, he has a 28% chance of winning. That bounces around. Often it's about 1/3. Like if you were running for president, Austin, and the bettors said let's say you already won the nomination, and the party elders are telling you leave, and the betting is saying you've a 1/3 chance of winning if you're the nominee. Are you going to step down and be like, this other guy's a little more electable? Like, no.
No. I mean, a 1 in 3 shot is far better than the state lottery. That's for sure. So, and the problem, of course, is that Joe Biden, at least from a political perspective, they really don't listen to people outside of their bubble. I mean, we're talking about politics here now, not just odds. But from everything that I've understood from my studying of the Biden family, he listens to Jill Biden and Hunter Biden, shockingly enough, and they listen to almost nobody else. So there's a high likelihood that even if everybody tried to call for him to step down in the Democratic Party, if it's not Jill or Hunter, he's not going to do it, right?
Yeah, I think that's right. And you even see in some of his recent speeches him showing his contempt for the kind of party elders who have given him bad advice, like told him not to run in 2016 in the past, and told him that there would be a red wave in 2022. And you can see he has disdain for these people. And for example, he even said, they asked him, well, people in Congress are defecting. And he said, look, I've been in Congress, and if they're in a district where it makes sense to not embrace their incumbent president, they don't do that. I get it. He's like, I get it. So he's seeing this through a political lens, like not caring too much. Schumer and Jeffries might be enough to put that over the edge. I think he cares a little about what they think, but
plus, I mean, you mentioned in your piece here, Maxim, that if you're Joe Biden, the same people who are saying he doesn't have a good chance of winning are the same people who said the same thing last time.
Yeah, also true. And he's very aware of that. So I think unless, COVID knocks a few more brain cells out, I think he's in it to win it. Of course, the bettors disagree with me. So maybe you just shouldn't listen to me and follow the markets, because usually the markets are right. So I could definitely end up humbled here. There are plenty of people who think the Democratic leaders are powerful enough to use some kind of soft power to force him out. And obviously, I can't say for sure on that. The bettors right now think Kamala Harris has a 45% chance of being the nominee, and Biden has a 37% chance.
Why do you think the Democrats are calling for Joe Biden to drop out if that is the case? I mean, if he does actually, if the markets are saying and the polls are saying that, he's got a 1 in 3 chance of winning, what is the Democrat calls for him to step down all about? Where's this coming from?
My sense is that there's a lot of panic that before the debate, even though you and I, Austin, knew that Biden was senile and had seen these clips 1,000 times of him falling down the stairs and et cetera, they just said, oh, that's all misinformation. And then they saw him live during this debate without a teleprompter, and they went, oh my God, we just nominated a senile person. And they started to panic. But just a straight reading of the polls doesn't justify that panic. And Kamala Harris in all the post-assassination polls does worse than Biden. So if I were a Democrat, I wouldn't necessarily agree with what they're doing there.
Yeah. And you see no indication, you write, that he's losing the drive or the mentality that got him into this job in the first place.
Yeah, that's right. Like watching his whole NATO presser, which did not have teleprompters, there's still an old young Biden in there who's like, screw the party elders. I've won this before. I should be president. And if there's any chance, I'm going to run. And so, yeah, I still see that old Biden there. He has good days and bad days, but I never see like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't do this days.
What about the concern about his legacy? He could become the candidate who lost to Donald Trump. Isn't there a fear of that?
Yeah, that's the big point that party elites make. he addressed this in his NATO presser, and he said, basically, I'm not focused on my legacy. I'm focused on being president. And I think generally, if you get to this level, like, you're a risk taker. If you see 30% chance, you don't say, oh my God, I might lose. I might look bad if I lose to Donald Trump. You say, yeah, I can still beat Donald Trump. That's my read of people who get to this level of politics.
In another section later in your piece over at Maximum Truth, your Substack, you write that you should consider a couple of the points raised by those who think Biden will drop out. One point is from Nate Silver. He says that I don't think there are actually that many Democrats who have an incentive to keep this going. If you read the smoke signals, so are some of the elder statesmen of the party, like James Clyburn and Barack Obama. They're not saying this explicitly, but that Obama failed to refute a Washington Post story that suggested he had private doubts about Biden is what we poker players call a tell. How do you interpret that?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he was right that the party elders are turning on Biden. And now even more publicly. I guess the question is, does Biden care? Because if he doesn't, I think he can still just go to the convention, take his pledged delegates, and be the nominee. And then they'll have to coalesce around him.
And then there's also the fact that Joe Biden, George Clooney wrote that op-ed calling for Joe Biden to step down a few weeks after he raised millions of dollars from suckers, apparently. Apparently Barack Obama knew about that, but didn't step in to try and stop George Clooney from doing that. So do we have any idea of where Obama stands?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think it's just reading the tea leaves like that. And there was also, right after the debate, Barack said, oh, it was just this bad debate. Don't worry about it. But then the New York Times asked the spokesperson, like, so you don't think he should drop out? And the spokesperson's like, no comment. So reading the tea leaves, yeah, it is like, maybe he thinks Biden should leave.
Yeah, and then, go ahead.
No, yeah, I just want to say on the betting, I think it's an interesting case here where the bettors do buy these things, so maybe they should be taken seriously. I'm betting that they won't. I think there's a good betting opportunity. People can go to predict it and risk their money, but it's more than 2-to-1 odds right now. If you put $1 down and Biden does go through, you get like 240 or something like that.
Now, if you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, good morning. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. I'm speaking to Maxim Lott. He's the co-founder of electionbettingodds.com. We're talking a little bit about how prediction markets, people who are betting their own money on this election are wagering on the outcome, whether or not Joe Biden will step down, whether Kamala Harris will step in. Now, you say that Kamala Harris is polling even worse than Joe Biden if she were to take over in the campaign. A lot of people, Maxim, just from a political standpoint, they don't understand like sort of how electoral politics works. They say things like, well, it's too late because we've already had primaries in other states. They don't seem to quite understand how a political convention works. And then they also say things like, well, the ballots have already been drawn up in other states. But frankly, as libertarians, we kind of understand it's like they're the government and you're not. I mean, the Democratic convention has not been held yet. Technically, the Democrats can do what they want at that convention. Isn't that the case?
Yeah, that's true. It seems like so if Biden says, feel free to vote for Harris or whatever, and I'm stepping down, then there's no problem. He can be replaced easily. If he doesn't, it's a little hard for me to see. Like, so 100% of these delegates basically will be picked by the Biden campaign or have been picked by the Biden campaign. Are more than half of those people going to listen to Chuck Schumer and say, I'm going to vote against, the ticket that brought me here? I'm a little skeptical of that. I think if Biden wants to be the nominee, he can do that. But
what about Gavin Newsom, Maxim? That's another name that's been tossed around a lot. People think that the governor of California could be ready to step in. He's a handsome guy. Ladies love him, right? He brings in that demographic that Trump really has a problem with. Wouldn't Gavin Newsom be stronger than, say, VP Kamala Harris?
Yeah, he would be much stronger. The bettors say he would probably win against Trump, like 60% chance, whereas Kamala has like a 40% chance, Biden has like 30%. It was interesting, actually, right after Biden flubbed this debate, the odds for Newsom shot up like well past Harris. And but then they started to realize, first of all, the Biden's money can't transfer to Newsom. It can only transfer easily to his VP. And then also people just started to sink in how difficult the political jujitsu is here. Like, you're already replacing one person to then also replace the second person in line. Just requires so much political coordination that people don't see it happening.
If Joe Biden does drop out, why do you think he's going to do it? What do you think the reasons will be?
Well, yeah, I think it'll be a combination of, having COVID, not feeling amazing at age 82 with COVID, and having people you do respect, maybe Chuck Schumer, Barack Obama, nudging you and saying, "Hey, man, like maybe pass the torch. We love you, but pass the torch. It's time to mentor a new generation." I could imagine all those things combining and getting him to drop, but I don't think he will. But that would be my prediction there.
What about his campaign team?
Right, that's a good question. So if they all said, "Look, you're more senile than maybe even you or I know, we can't do this anymore. We're all quitting." You'd think that would be, I guess he could hire a new staff, but that would be a pretty strong signal to drop out, and he might listen to that.
And finally, you think that the Democrats who are calling for him to drop out, the pundits, the leftists on MSNBC and others, they're completely just out of touch with Joe Biden's mindset on this?
Yeah. I mean, I think he's not listening to them at all. They don't seem to be listening to him or thinking in line with him. They're just panicking, saying, "Oh my God, we're going to lose to Trump. We're going to lose to Trump," and not thinking this through very hard.
Maxim, is there anything else that we missed or that you'd like to share with our audience before we let you go today?
Let's see. Overall, the bettors favor Trump right now. He's got a 64% chance. The assassination did not give as much a boost as I expected in either the polls or the betting. Seems like people are saying, there's maybe some sympathy vote, but also people are saying, well, this just shows how, divisive people like Trump have been. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But the betting favors Trump, but only slightly. It's still going to be a close election, it seems.
That's interesting stuff. Maxim, where can people read your work if they're curious to follow it online?
Yeah, so Maximum Truth Substack. I write about all this. Also on Twitter, just my name, Maxim Lott. And the website is electionbettingodds.com.
Maxim Lott, thank you very much for your time today, Maxim. We always appreciate you. Whenever I think about odds and political polling, I always think Maxim Lott is the guy. Thank you very much for your time today, Maxim. Have a great day.
Thank you, Austin. Great talking with you.
Thank you. Let's give Maxim a round of applause. Also, you're going to find great content like that here in the morning. It's the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. If you're enjoying this content, don't forget to click the like button right now on the stream. If it's your first time watching the Wake Up America show and you're enjoying us and you want to hang out with us again, good news. We are, I got the COVID. I'm sick. I'm going to die. No, I'm feeling good. Then click the follow button over on the stream. That way you'll be able to find us. The show's schedule is Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. It's a 2-hour show. Great way to start your day during the work week. Hang out with us in the morning at rumble.com/AP for Liberty. That's AP, the number 4, AP for Liberty. We'd be grateful to have you join us. You can text the show anytime that you like. It doesn't have to be just during the show when we're live at 573-319-1586. Again, you can text the show and let us know what's on your mind. at 573-319-1586. The text lines are open, and I'm curious to hear what you have to say about what we just discussed or anything that's on your mind. Actually, I should pull up the text messages so that I can actually see them. Here we go. Anybody saying anything? Nothing there that is just important, just people talking to me about random stuff. But again, if you would like to communicate with me anytime, 573-319-1586. Again, you can send us a text at that number that you see on the screen below.
Question that I have on that. These two men are both elderly. Donald Trump is an elderly man who, for whatever reason, was given 9 seconds to take a iconic photo op during an active shooter situation. Weird situation. We'll figure that out one day. But his survival of that and bouncing right back and going right to his convention is being conveyed in the media world as a sign of strength. This current president of the United States is 81 years old and has COVID. Should he be fine in a couple of days? Doesn't that convey exactly the same thing? That he's strong enough, older than Trump, to have gotten something that used to really be fatal to people his age. So if he does fine out of it and comes back and is able to do rallies, isn't that exactly the same?
It should.
I mean, it's not exactly the same. It's not the same incident, but it's an elderly man coming through out of an illness.
It should.
That stuff makes me laugh so much. Joe Biden, sitting down in an interview yesterday when he was talking about whether or not he would drop out, he was having a discussion a little bit about some of the diversity, equity, and inclusion policies that he's had during his term as president of the United States. Take a listen to him forgetting the name of his defense secretary.
And so it's all about treating people with dignity. And it's about making sure that, look, I mean, for example, look at the heat I'm getting because I named the Secretary of Defense a black man. I named Ketanji Brown. I mean, because
it's all okay. So it's all about dignity, right? He can't remember his Secretary of Defense's name. He's talking about dignity. He can't remember his name, so he just calls him a black man. Whoops. Can't remember his name, just calls him a black man. Speaking of a black man, here's a black man standing outside, Joe Biden supporter, standing outside the Republican National Convention. Hear what he had to say to Republicans entering the RNC.
He's an asshole. He should be locked up. Welcome to the ghetto. Welcome to hell. Welcome to hell. I hope your daughter get raped.
Well, that's nice. I hope your daughter gets raped. Well, that's very nice, Joe Biden supporters. Curious. Now, that's an interesting thing that he should say that, especially considering the conversation that we're about to have with Chamilia Peterson in a little bit less than 10 minutes from now. A Home Depot employee was on camera when she talked about the potential assassination of Donald Trump. And when she had that conversation, she was talking to someone about Trump. And if I could find the clip here for you, Home Depot media. I want to play this clip for you. It's talking about whether or not conservatives should engage in cancel culture. Here we go. This is the clip. This woman has since been fired after this clip from Home Depot after she said this. Take a listen.
Are you Darcy Waldron?
I was Waldron, yeah.
Okay, from Cayuga. And you think that the shooter should have been a better shot? Is that what you posted on Facebook?
I am at work.
You think that the shooter should have been a shooter, huh?
I am at work.
Yeah, I think that's pretty messed up. Pretty anti-American, if you ask me. As a veteran, I'm disgusted. What have you provided to this country? Huh? I'm sorry. This is ridiculous. You are ridiculous. And I'm making you famous. Are you Darcy?
So this is a woman who posted on her Facebook page that she thinks that the shooter shouldn't have missed, right?
Yeah.
Darcy Waldron.
Okay, from Cayuga. And you think that the shooter should have been a better shot? Is that what you posted on Facebook?
I am at work.
You think that the shooter should have been a shooter, huh?
I am at work.
Yeah, I think that's pretty messed up. Pretty anti-American, if you ask me.
You know, during the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of libertarians, I'll say, not many conservatives, but many libertarians were saying that when conservatives were getting banned from social media for their opinion on COVID or their opinion on the vaccines, they were saying, well, it's a private company and the private company should be able to do what it wants. It's a private company. They can decide who they want to work with. But what's fascinating is I see this phenomenon now where libertarians are saying we shouldn't be engaging in cancel culture. She's just a poor lady at Home Depot who called for the assassination of the president, who thinks that people like you and I should be killed, right? It's not, she didn't post that I believe in universal health care and then get confronted and lose her job. She posted thinking that people like us should be killed. And then she loses her job. And now I see people out there saying, oh, we shouldn't have people lose their jobs for things like this. Do you know how many people lost their jobs because they wouldn't get the coronavirus vaccine? Do you know how many people lost their jobs because of the opinions that they posted on social media? Conservatives who have lost their jobs because of the opinions they posted on social media? How cancel culture has come for us, whether through Gamergate or video games or movies or whether any conservative opinion or libertarian opinion. And you know how many times I've been kicked off social media for my opinions, targeted by leftists for my views? Hell, I've even had other conservatives, when I used to work on the radio, call and try and get me fired from my job because of the opinions that I've held. And now we're going to defend this person who thinks that we should be killed? You think that there should be no consequences for that? Remember, whenever a conservative gets canceled, the libertarians, and not all of them, but most of them, would say things like, well, you're not immune to the consequences of your free speech. But then all of a sudden, when it's a leftist calling for someone to be killed, no, they should be immune from the consequences of their speech. No. Well, how about this? She is now suffering the consequences of her poor decisions. It's not cancel culture. It's accountability culture. You don't have a right to work at Home Depot. Home Depot is a private company, and it can do what it wants. Chamilia and I are going to fight that one out, I'm sure, when we get back. Don't stick around. We'll play the bonus content for you. Remember, today's show goes into overtime. You don't get to leave at 9 a.m. Central today because we're going to continue on with guests. We got 1, 2, 3 more guests. It's the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. We'll be right back.
Wake Up America show continues our theme of firing 3 bullets from a 6th floor window. Kennedy was struck in the upper back and head while Texas Governor John...
Welcome back to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. Glad and thankful to have you here. Please click that like button. And if it's your first time here and you enjoy the content, the follow button as well. We'd love to have you be a regular guest and join us here on the Wake Up America show, Mondays through Fridays from 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. It's a great show, great way to start your day. The Prince author, Machiavelli, once wrote, it is just as difficult and dangerous to try and free a people that wants to remain servile as it is to enslave a people that want to remain free. For all the labors of its best minds, the modern American right appears determined to remain servile, even if it comes at the cost of everything it claims to care about. Even the brief, fleeting whiff of victory is so foreign and alien to today's conservatives that it can cause them to recoil in horror and disbelief, overwhelmed by the mere possibility of power. The right, as it's constituted today, is trapped in a psychological ghetto of its own making, and until it changes, nothing will. Let's take a brief little overview of some of the times in recent history that cancel culture reared its ugly head. A short list of how Turn the Other Cheek didn't moderate the left. Here's an example from 2014. Maybe you'll remember this. Rosetta scientist Dr. Matt Taylor had to apologize for an offensive shirt. This shirt that he was wearing was widely seen as sexist. He's a scientist who wore a shirt with beautiful women on it. Said he made a big mistake and offended very many people. He was sorry about this. Do you know the outrage against the Catholic kids when the Native American approached them? And Reza Aslan posted, honest question, have you ever seen a more punchable face than this kid's? Or how about in 2021 when Gina Carano cautioned people on the left to tone down the rhetoric, warning where it would lead? What did she get? Fired. Antifa coordinated a hit on Aaron Danielson, complete with spotters, video, and people on hand to mess with evidence and stall the cops. The national media blamed Patriot Prayer for one of their members being murdered. Vice gave the shooter a glow up. That was in 2020. And who could forget when jogging or paddleboarding would get you arrested? But the elite could throw dinner parties and have haircuts without any accountability. Yes, people were arrested on the beaches in Florida, California, and elsewhere, while the elites dined without a problem. Of course, 2020 was when we were told, trust the science, said that riots were more important than social distancing. Remember how turning the other cheek fixed that situation too? Or maybe you could compare and contrast how 2017 Unite the Right dorks yelling Jews will not replace us was handled versus Black Hebrew Israelites changing we are the real Jews in 2022. Did that turn the other cheek? Did that help you out? Or maybe you remember in 2020 when people were fired for not using pronouns? Did turn the other cheek give that teacher back her job here, right? You know, fighting with lawsuits helped a little bit thanks to Harmeet Dillon. Terrorist supporters in LA attacking Jews in 2021. Did ignoring it, did that really help, right? So turning the other cheek. They put a guy in prison for making a joke about Clinton supporters voting on a separate day. CNN bragged about doxing a guy who made a GIF because he was joking about voting on another day. He went to prison for that, right? Right. So what about when Kathy Griffin did the photo with the Trump head, right? And people defended it, right? And then when Trump was indicted, she put it up again with Jack Smith's face replacing hers, right? Cutting off Trump's head. Or remember the Kansas City Chiefs kid? How about that? When the kid was accused of cultural appropriation wearing blackface because they only showed one side of his face, his family got death threats. Turns out it turns out he's Native American, and it was normal Kansas City Chiefs makeup. I could go on and on and on. When has turned the other cheek really benefited us? Let's talk to Chamilia Peterson for her regular guest spot. Good morning. How are you, Chamilia? You ready to, I don't know, verbal duel?
All right. I'm gonna pull out my egalitarian side here, right?
Yeah, I'm watching the simpering posts by my friends, Brad Palumbo and Hannah Cox, and their outrage. I am sick and tired of this pussy libertarianism and conservatism that backs down in the face of our enemies. We need to understand how to make war on those who have declared war on us, Chamilia. I am tired of this whole, it seems as if many libertarians, good sirs, only defend free speech against cancel culture when it's happening to leftists. But they say it's a private company that can do what it wants when it happens to us. Have you noticed this trend?
Sure. And I think it's not just libertarians. I think there are a lot of people who consider themselves conservatives that are pushing back on this some too. And I understand it, right? This is something that I'm conflicted about because I see the need for both, right? And the problem is that the concern, I guess, is that if we go all in on, doing to them what they've done to us, that we will then permanently adopt that, which is not, it's kind of like, you stare into the darkness too long, right? So I think that's the concern. However, I also think that it is true that sometimes people don't learn their lesson until they have been given a dose of their own medicine, until they feel the very real life ramifications of the very things that they are doing to other people. I know some people like to call that the golden rule. That is not the golden rule. It's sort of like the flip side of it. But one of the things, as I'm kind of watching this debate go back and forth on X, are you familiar with Rob Province, the Educated Hillbilly account?
No.
Okay, huge account on Twitter. He's been around for a long time. He's actually from the St. Louis area, I believe. And so he's been around a long time. He was talking about this, and he's all in on the punish them, side of things. But he said over the years, because he has been so prominent on Twitter, that he has been doxxed, he's been swatted, and in fact, the police, they know who he is now, and so they're, but his thing is like he said, I've never claimed to, take the high ground on this. He was like, I'm down in the mud. He's like, I'm here and I'm dirty right along with him. But one of the things that he posted caught my eye last night. And he said, guys, the folks that are holding on to their morals and still want to hold on to the old world beliefs are good people. Taking the high road isn't a bad thing. We need people like that in the world, and we need them on our team. And then he closed it with, but we also need autistic retards to beat the left with their own rules until they surrender
Damn
and
right.
behave.
Damn right. That's right. It reminds me of that scene from A Few Good Men. You need me on that wall, right? I love this piece from The Spectator. The self-disenfranchising tendency was on display this week if hosts of both high and low profile firings, cancellations, and various other recriminations came for voices on the left who had opted to either celebrate the attempt on Trump's life or mourn that it had not been successful. A public school teacher in Oklahoma who wished the shooter had a better scope lost her teaching certificate. A school counselor in North Carolina who publicly mourned she was disappointed the shooter missed resigned. A Dallas police officer who posted "Aim better" in response was placed on leave, and Jack Black canceled his tour after one of his bandmates said that he hoped the assassin wouldn't miss Trump next time. Now, we're not talking, Chamilia, about people saying something like, I believe in universal health care. We're talking about people who are calling for Donald Trump's death. And if you think that it's only Donald Trump that they want dead or that they would be glad to see killed, Chamilia, I've got the bridge stock in Tuscumbia Bridge Company here in central Missouri to sell you. We cannot tolerate people calling for our death. We cannot tolerate for that. There must be punishment. There must be recriminations for those kinds of statements in order to have something of a polite society.
Do you remember, I'm trying to remember what the circumstances were, but there was a man who had been posting things on Facebook, and I think it was about Biden, but he was targeted by the FBI, and I cannot remember if he was actually killed or what happened, but the conversation at the time was, should he have been targeted over his social media posts? And I think a lot of people on the right were like, no, free speech. He has the right to say whatever he wants. But I mean, the problem is he wasn't just. It was very similar in that he wasn't just saying mean things about Biden. He was saying things that were very directly threatening, in terms of his life and safety. And so I do think that you have to respond to those sort of things in a different way than you would be, talking about. Whether somebody is transgender or if we're talking about any other controversial, political topic. But yeah, so I think this is really this distinguishing factor here is the fact that they are saying these things about the attempted assassination, of a president.
Well, let's play a little game here, Chamilia. Are you ready?
Okay.
And this is going to be should the person be fired for what they said and who they are in the position that they hold, okay? And you're going to tell me if you think they should or shouldn't. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm going to do this as if this is my company, right?
Well, this is it. It's all the situations that I just read off to you. So we're going to go back through this list. You tell me if they should have been canceled. A public school teacher in Oklahoma who wished the shooter had a better scope lost her teaching certificate. Yay or nay? Good or bad?
I'm fine with that.
Good. A school counselor in North Carolina publicly mourned she was disappointed the shooter missed, resigned. Good or bad?
Counselor and doing it publicly, totally fine with that.
Dallas cop posted "Aim better," placed on leave. Good or bad?
Definitely good.
Left-wing comedian Jack Black canceled his tour after his bandmate says that he hopes the assassin wouldn't miss Trump next time. Good or bad?
That's an ambivalent. And by the way, one of the things, about that somebody brought up, I hadn't really thought about, is that this was for the places that he was going to perform at. This is a very real issue for them in terms of liability and insurance, because they have to have so much insurance on these events. And you talk about somebody who's saying inflammatory things like that could engender violence in and of itself. Like, heck no, they don't want to insure that.
Well, I guess my question to Jack Black or his bandmate would be, what protects you? If that's how you feel about your political opponents, what exactly is protecting you from the same? Meaning, if you think we should be killed, why can't we feel the same way about you? I mean, what would be wrong with me standing up and saying, you should be murdered right now? Whatever is Kyle is this guy's name. You should be killed. I mean, I honestly feel like if somebody comes and tries to kill me or says that I should be dead, like somebody who comes to me, if they came at me at a parking lot, they're going to get filled with 15 rounds of 9mm because that's a threat on my life. So, I mean, in what sense, when someone makes that kind of a threat, I mean, should they be exempt?
So do you think that they're more likely, that people like Jack Black and on the left are more likely to feel comfortable saying those things because they don't think that the other side is as likely to take violent action?
That's a great question.
Because I think that we've seen the difference, you know, when Trump was the attempted assassination, you know, if the tables had been turned on that, do you think there would have been rioting, looting? Do you think that there would have been, you know, public mayhem? Probably, yeah. But was there in this case? No.
But like in terms of the tables being turned, I think myself and many other people are tired of listening to our weak libertarian and conservative leadership out there saying things like, imagine if the tables were turned and then nothing being done. It's time for some action. Now, this last situation, this is the one that blew this whole thing up. This is the big question. Is this woman who worked at Home Depot, Darcy Waldron Pinkney, she posted on Facebook, too bad they weren't a better shooter. She was confronted at her job. She's now been fired by Home Depot. And as libertarians, we of course believe that Home Depot is a private company and can fire whoever they want. Right, Chamilia?
Of course. Yeah.
So good or bad?
I mean, like, I think whatever. To me, the difference in this one is this is the one where somebody saw this and actually went to her to find her in her place of work and put her on camera, right?
Good. Yes. Yes.
I'm not so crazy about that because I don't think that we need to hunt people down in their workplaces.
For it. I love it. I love it. I love it. You get it. Remember that quote from Maxim Lott? You see these people in public, you get in front, you confront them. You get a crowd going and you confront them and get in their face. I want to see us getting in their faces and putting the cameras up in their faces. I want them to be afraid, Chamilia, because I'll tell you something. This is a man's world that we're talking about right now. This is the danger world, all right? This is not a woman's world. This is a man's world. And I have never, have you ever been physically assaulted and had your face pounded into the dirt?
No.
No, you've never had that happen? Never. Let me tell you what it's like. Okay, somebody comes up behind you, right? Grabs you by the back of the hair of the head and slams your face down into gravel, in the rocks on a playground, and slams your face in there. Breaks your glasses. The shards are driven into your eyes. Right? Shoves your face in there. You can't breathe. Right? And then proceeds to flip you over and starts to pound you, ground and pound. Right? If you've never had something like that happen to you, I can tell you from firsthand experience, it's not a pleasant experience. And that the people who behave like that, they aren't, when the teacher comes to talk to them, it doesn't change their behavior, right? Disciplinary motives from that kind of violence does not change their behavior. There's only one thing that people who engage in that kind of violence understand, and it is counter violence that is defensive force, self-defense. Right. And what conservatives and libertarians are advocating for is this form of high roadism that has not worked, this turn the other cheekism that has not worked. And listen, I am unbound by the rules placed down on me from the Code of Hammurabi or from the Ten Commandments. I'm unbound by this effete Christian moralism that has turned Jesus into this very sort of weak in the need character of that makes these Christian megachurches completely useless. In which Joel Berry, the managing editor of the Babylon Bee, will come on and say exactly what I'm saying at 9 a.m. and talk about how how these churches have gone soft and have gone woke, and how a conservatism has become toothless. And this is why people have moved to populism. This is why people have moved to Trumpism, because they're tired of being victims, Chamilia. Can you agree with that?
I do agree with that. And I do agree that, bullies, typically don't understand anything except the very medicine that they've been dealing out. And so I think that it boils down to what I said that Rob Province said earlier, and this is kind of where I am on it, is that there is the need for that. There is, just like I said, there is Donald Trump's approach to things has not been what I would prefer. But there is a time and a place for people who are disruptors and to respond in kind. However, I think that the reason that we still need all of these other people out here saying, hold on, like, let's make sure that we still remember to treat other people as humans, even if they don't treat us that way, is that we need that balance, that yin yang.
Actually, you're correct, Chamilia, because I'm remembering a famous quote. Hold on real quick. Let me pull it up. Nice doggy. Here it is. Yes, here it is. By Harold Winkler in 1967 says, diplomacy frequently consists in soothingly saying nice things. Diplomacy is the art of saying nice doggy until you have time to pick up a rock.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, right?
Right. So what we need is people who are out there taking the high road and sort of going out there in a shield and telling the left, oh, it's going to be okay. We're going to take the high road. And then meanwhile, I'm sort of sneaking around behind them for the ambush so that we can then, hoist the black flag and, set their barns on fire and, metaphorically speaking, begin slitting throats.
Right. No, I actually, firmly believe that you do need both sides of there. You need that balance.
That's right.
Walk softly and carry a big stick, right?
That's
but,
right.
Here's the thing, that the founders of this country even recognize this about human nature, because it's in the Declaration where they talk about, and they said that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. So, I mean, like, the point is that people by their nature will just exist in the norm, and they'll just take it, until, they finally reach the point where they just can't take it anymore. And so that's, and we've seen it, like, people will put up with a lot, and you wonder, like, when is anybody going to ever stand up? It's kind of like, when people talk about, we're going to have a civil war. This, like, no, we're not, because, think about, like, who's going to actually stand up and fight or do something that's going to sacrifice their own comfort or self-preservation when it comes down to it. And then that number of people is incredibly small, even among the right, with the people who are all like, yeah, militia and whatever. Like, when the rubber meets the road, you will not find those people there.
There's a famous quote from the movie Dune. I know you're not big into pop culture, but here's how
I watched that, actually.
Oh, well, then you might remember this one. When I am weaker than you, I ask you for freedom, because that is according to your principles. When I am stronger than you, I take away your freedom, because that is according to my principles. What does that mean?
Well, I think it's along the lines of, it's only treason if you don't win, right? It is so.
So let me repeat it, Chamilia. When I am weaker than you, I ask you for freedom, because that is according to your principles. When I am stronger than you, I take away your freedom, because that is according to my principles. What does that mean? What is that person trying to say, Chamilia?
I mean, it's essentially saying that when you are the one in power, you set the principles, right?
That's right.
Are doing right.
Right. And they ask us, the left wants freedom, and they want us to protect them from cancel culture, and they want us to respect the rule of law and to read them their Miranda rights and to not engage in lawfare. But then when they have power, they take away our freedom, because that is according to their principles, right? So, progressives, they flout norms, precedences, legal strictures, and the Constitution itself. And then conservatives respond by saying, well, one day when the roles are reversed, their opponents will regret it. But when has the left ever regretted taking power and using it against conservatives? Are they regretting the fact that they won in a New York court against Donald Trump and that he is preparing to be sentenced potentially to jail while the leading candidate? Do you think that they regret that? Do you think that they're going to ever regret that under any circumstances, Chamilia?
Oh, I doubt it, except only those who can be somewhat introspective and look back and see how that backfired on them, right? Because they have created a martyr, and that worked against them. I'm not sure what the thought was, because I do think there are some intelligent people on the left, and how you don't see that that's the natural outcome of that course of action. I don't understand that. But, I think the question here is that I think the reason that you see a lot of the pushback on this among so many on the right is that, when we talk about, we were talking about JD Vance the other day, and this notion that we have some people like our Senator Eric Schmidt saying that his mission is to dismantle the administrative state. And then you have JD Vance, kind of coming in and saying, yeah, I can understand why you feel that way. But really what we need to do is take the administrative state for ourselves and use it. So my question is that if having this bloated administrative state or government, whatever these agencies, all of these things, if these are bad things and can be used in bad ways because power corrupts, like, at what point do you stop, right? Where do you stop using it and cut it back?
Right. You're absolutely right. But if you read JD Vance very closely, as I have been doing, he says that, one, he is sympathetic to the Vivek Ramaswamy, Javier Milei view that we should abolish the deep state and the bureaucracies. But he has said that barring that, if we cannot do that because of legislative speed bumps or what have you, then we should staff these positions with people who share our ideological views, which I find to be a tolerable compromise if we can't get what we want until the day comes that we have our Javier Milei. And it's interesting too that despite the fact that JD Vance has said he wants to staff the administrations and the bureaucracies with right-wingers and people who believe what we believe, he said that we do need to fire many of them initially, and that we need to gut these agencies before we talk about staffing them again. So there's still some Javier Milei in there to him, right? But here's the thing. According to polls from early 2022, back when the pandemic was sort of in its final phase, 59% of Democrats favored house arrest for the unvaccinated. 45%, almost half, believed that we should be put in camps. And 48% believed federal and state governments should be able to fine or imprison individuals who publicly question the efficacy of the existing COVID-19 vaccines on social media, television, radio, or online digital publications. Chamilia, I feel nothing but joy at the loss of Home Depot woman's job, of the loss of the cop who got put on leave. I feel nothing but joy over the teacher who lost her teaching certificate, of Jack Black canceling his tour. I feel nothing but elation and joy, because this is a victory for us against people who literally wanted to put us in camps. Chamilia, can you understand where I'm coming from?
I do. And I think that, I know even on the left, obviously, those numbers you gave weren't 100%, right? So they have their people over there who
almost half.
Sure. They have their people over there, but who don't agree with that. But the problem is, I think, just on both sides, really, which is why we're stuck in this loop of going back and forth all the time, is that those people are always the loudest. It's the most extreme that are always the loudest, whereas the people who are trying to make common sense of things get stuck in the middle. But I think we still need, we've seen it even with the DEI fight and and the CRT things and companies that have been implementing these ridiculous social policies. They've been finding out because the right has been pushing back and has been refusing to do business with them and have been suing them. And, with affirmative action being turned over, that's just something else that's kind of snowballed along with what we're seeing. And we are seeing the results of that action in that companies are backpedaling, they're stopping, they're taking those policies out of their manuals. And I think that that is a clear sign that, we do need to, fight back in a lot of those same ways. But as you said, we need the diplomacy along with it.
I will back off when they back off. I will stop when they stop. But I will not stop punching the bully until the bully cries out, "Uncle," from his bloody, broken teeth. Then I will stop. And that is when it will be over, right?
This reminds me, yes. And so this reminds me of the comment I hear a while back that our friend Greg Keller made on Twitter when he said about me, as long as there are people like Chamilia out there that are looking for the best in people and the good in people, he was like, I'll be over here. He was like, this is the land of wolves. Ruff, 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 ruff. But I mean, he's right, we need both.
That's right. We need both. I'll be with the wolves, Chamilia. I'll be guarding you, and you'll be the one sheep I won't eat. Chamilia, we got to run. Anything else real quick you want to say?
No, just have a great day, everyone. Election is coming up. So, well, at least in Missouri, I'm not sure what everybody else's primary is, but we've got a couple of weeks left. And I will say that I know, just, kind of update, people are starting to pay attention because some of the questions I'm getting at the doors now are more specific on, they want to know what's happening because they don't think they have all the time in the world left to kind of figure it out.
There it is.
Do your homework, research your candidates.
We will do that. Thank you very much, Chamilia Peterson. Let's give her a round of applause. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you again on next Tuesday, Chamilia. There, give her a round of applause. All right. Well, speaking of wolf whistling, it's time for us to talk to Daniela Pensac. It is Thirsty Thursday, after all. Chamilia did look very lovely. Wolf whistling. And we don't even know what that phrase means. From like the 1950s. Okay, Boomer. When we get back, let's talk to Daniela Pensac about why Elon Musk has taken all of his jobs and moving to Texas. I'm sure you can guess on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Wake Up America show continues our theme of presidential assassinations. Let's look back in history to the murder of President firing 3 bullets from a 6th-floor window. Kennedy was struck in the upper back and head, while Texas Governor John concluded that Oswald acted alone in killing Kennedy and wounding Connally. Despite this, many still believe in various conspiracy theories involving other parties. A 2017 poll revealed only 33% of Americans believe Oswald acted alone. The release of 30,000 documents by the National Archives in 2017 and 2018 has continued to fuel speculation. The assassination of President Kennedy remains a pivotal moment in American history, surrounded by a mix of documented facts and ongoing conjecture, reflecting the lasting impact of that fateful day.
Welcome back to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. Thanks so much for sticking around, and I hope you enjoyed the bonus content today. Don't forget that the Wake Up America show is going into overtime. We don't end at 9 a.m. today. We were going to go with an extra guest starting at 9 a.m. The managing editor of the Babylon Bee will be joining us this morning, Joel Berry, at 9 a.m. Central Time. So you don't want to leave. Make sure you stick around even after 9 a.m. Central Time. We've got a lot of great content left to go, and I want you guys to hang out with us. But before we do, I want to say a big thanks and a shout out to Rumble, and congratulations on their coffee brand. It's time to say goodbye to Starbucks and say hello to Rumble's 1775 coffee. Now, unlike other brands, this is a coffee that backs free speech and is unapologetic about it. Use the promo code STUDIO40 to get 40% off any coffee subscription. That's a huge discount. The coffee comes in medium and dark roasts. It also comes in pea berry, which is similar to that Hawaiian Kona. In other words, the stuff is premium. So click the link that you see now in the live chat or in the description. You can also go to 1775coffee.com and use the promo code STUDIO40 to get 40% off today. That discount is huge. So use it, 1775coffee.com. We appreciate you. Thank you, Rumble, and congratulations on your incredible coffee brand. All right, well, cancel culture. Should it be used? by conservatives, right? Is it the type of thing that turns us from Luke Skywalkers into Darth Vaders? Well, if you look at Mark Hamill's career, he really did turn into Darth Vader these days as a psychotic leftist endorsing Joe Biden. So I say cancel Luke Skywalker. Well, we're canceling Darth Vader anyway. Well, wait a minute. No, that was Anakin, his father. Luke, I am your father. Screwing up my Star Wars references today. Joining me now to correct the record is huge Star Wars fan Daniela Pensac. Just kidding. Good morning, Daniela. How are you today?
Good morning, Austin. I actually am, or I was a Star Wars fan before I grew up after college, but I used to be pretty big into it.
Glad to have you here, Daniela. Oh, and congratulations, by the way, on your brand new show, Name TBD, coming on the For Liberty Network. Are you excited?
I'm extremely excited. It's going to be great. I think we're going to have a lot of fun doing it.
Yes, we are. You're going to have your own show, 2 hours, 2 times a week. We're going to work together to make an incredibly powerful show, and we're going to build you a huge audience. And I know you're going to be a huge star, way bigger than I am. So the audience, of course, loves you here. So I imagine they will definitely move over and watch your show as well. We look forward to that, and we'll definitely have more details later. Daniela, you were saying that Chamilia needs to take the L on that last conversation that we had.
So, yeah, I mean, okay, listen, I usually do agree with Chamilia in her opinions, right? She's a very smart woman. But in this case, I'm just gonna I can't accept her explanation here. I do have to agree with you, Austin. We've seen these people deprive people like us of our livelihoods, or at least attempt to. It's very difficult to not get on the bandwagon of trying to demoralize them in the same way, because they have been demoralizing conservatives, libertarians, and like-minded people like us for quite a while. I would say even before Trump has ran in 2015, 2016. So I think it's time that they kind of get a taste of their own medicine. So I take great pleasure in it. I hope this continues. This becomes a trend for quite a while.
What do you think, though, about like the conservative and libertarian pushback that there's been, right? So they push to defend these leftists and say, oh, conservatives shouldn't engage in cancel culture. But they say when, social media pushes somebody like me off the platform, oh, well, it's a private company and they can do it at once. As a matter of fact, Tim Pool just retweeted me when I posted this. I said, if you're tired of conservative and libertarian leadership who pitifully mule, imagine if the tables were turned or we would never get away with something like that, then may I introduce you to conservative and libertarian self-defense culture. Let's call it, instead of imagine if it were us, now say, wow, you've reaped what you've sown. Or, sorry, lefty, your employer is a private company and could do it at once. And here's the last banger. I'm glad it's no longer happening to us. Self-defense culture. What do you think about calling it that?
I think it's pertinent, and congratulations being retweeted by Tim Pool. But the thing with like conservatives and what I've recognized for quite a while now is that it is all talk. I mean, they say they will retaliate and they just never do. It's this civility politics that I'm just really sick of seeing and experiencing. And I think a lot of us, especially from my generation and younger, are sick of seeing and experiencing. But I mean, my personal theory about conservatives, and I wrote about this on Twitter, not that anyone cares or have seen it, but what I think is happening here is multiple reasons, and it's ingrained in the conservative mindset, right? They're very individualistic. They're to themselves. They don't want to participate in large, not events, but like large social events going on like this. But particularly, what's unique about the conservative is that I think they get content really easily. Whereas progressives, leftists, people of that mindset, they are more inclined to have tantrums. They're kind of, I'm not saying they're arrested developmentally, but they act like it. There's something about the progressive mindset where they just push, well, they're called progressive, right? They want to push forward, push the agenda, push the narrative further beyond boundaries. And conservatives just don't have their predilections. So, they want to stay content to the system they live in, right? Which, I mean, there's a lot of benefits to that. But when it comes to things like this, they can't think outside the box for some reason. I would think retaliation is a very powerful, or vengeance, I suppose, is a very powerful emotion. But it's this civility politics. And a lot of leftists feel the same way. Far leftists feel the same way about their more institutional Democrat policymakers as well. So I also think it's an era of civility politics in the United States. But what you see with the common average American and your salt of the earth Americans is that they're sick of it. And again, I think institutions will crumble and change down the line. It will take time, but it takes a lot of effort and consciousness to really have that occur.
I'm really looking forward to watching your show, Daniela, when it premieres, because I can't wait to hear you expand on these kinds of ideas in your own talk show format. I think it's going to be very compelling. I love reading your Substack, a little bit, getting a little bit deeper into the minds of how you see these things. And I definitely agree with you on many of these things. I've never, read a Substack and been like, I think Daniela is kind of off base with this one. So I'm excited to work. I'm excited to have you be a part of our For Liberty network. Let's talk a little bit about some big news here. Elon Musk tweeted, "This is the final straw. Because of this law and the many others that preceded it, attacking both families and companies, SpaceX will now move its HQ from Hawthorne, California to Starbase, Texas." What would inspire him to post that? What is he talking about?
Yes, he has had enough of the woke mind virus, Austin, because Gavin Newsom passed he signed this legislation called AB 1955, or it's called the Safety Act in California, which essentially allows, or rather prevents, school districts, people working in the school districts, teachers from notifying parents about their children, having questions about their gender identity, or may even want to seek gender affirming care. And so Elon Musk has had enough of it, he said. And so he wants to deprive California of SpaceX headquarters and SpaceX and the economy that they revitalize in California and move that to Texas, a more conservative area. And so I'm respecting Elon Musk for trying to establish alternative economic zones, or an alternative economy where you could argue more conservatives will benefit from, and deprive California of that. And it's imperative, I think, that more businesses do that. So I'm excited to see that he's had enough of it. And interestingly enough, I think this is also more of a strategic move. He's doing this shortly after Trump's the assassination attempt done on Trump. He has announced his support for Trump and his campaign, and is going to donate $45 million to I think he's going to donate $45 million monthly, actually, to the Great America PAC that supports the Trump campaign. So Elon Musk is going all the way in supporting Trump in this case. And this big move from California to Texas is just a way to signal to Americans that he's for that.
This is sort of self-defense culture, in the sense that
yes,
he is taking these jobs. He's punishing California by taking these jobs away and moving them to Texas, isn't he?
Absolutely. And that's what I mean. Is that he's trying to set up like an alternative economic zone. And so I really hope that, again, Elon Musk is fortunate enough, he has a job that's lucrative enough where it gives him the ability to do this. Not a lot of businesses can do this, obviously, but because Elon Musk is aware of the platform that he has and how powerful he is in the eyes of in the eyes of the nation and for most Americans. So it's good to see him publicly making this move. There has been some, Gavin Newsom has stated that Elon Musk, he's doing this because he's trying to, he's on his knees for Trump. With social posts that Trump made a while back, saying that Elon Musk was on his knees trying to ask for subsidies for some of his projects from Trump. That could be the case, obviously, but that's not what I'm here to talk about, because everyone makes wise business decisions that will help fund their projects, right? But Elon Musk is also aware that he does have the platform to signal to the nation about what is important right now. And I think it's a very powerful move, regardless of whether or not he's doing this strategically to benefit his business or not. It's important to signal to Americans that this is what needs to be done right now.
Well, in terms of self-defense culture, it's also, self-preservation. I mean, he is a father, and a lot of these laws in California are very dangerous in regards to parental rights, are they not?
Well, exactly. I mean, they are designed to break down the family, and California is actually a little behind here. I'm surprised they didn't pass this. Up here in Washington State, they passed a similar law. Back like a couple years ago already. Basically, activists take charge of schools. You're not having educators or teachers. We're having activists, progressive activists, become teachers, become school administrators that, try to invoke and put in policies that are designed to break down the child's identity, break down the family. It's disgusting and it's concerning. And Elon Musk, I mean, you could argue that he's a family man. I mean, I have my doubts on Elon Musk being a family man, but but he's aware of the importance of it, and that's what's important, right? So, and he's aware of the importance of it and signaling to the nation that this still needs to be protected and recognized.
If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, I'm speaking to Daniela Pensac about Elon Musk taking his companies and moving them to Texas over the laws that are passed in the state of California to try and protect his children. He is defending himself, and he's also taking his jobs with him. So, when people like Elon Musk sneeze, the whole world gets a cold. When he makes this kind of a decision, it will have a massive impact on California and their budget. I mean, this probably is the smartest thing that people on the right can do if we want to live out our values. You shouldn't be building your companies, building up your in places like it'd be like going to a communist country and trying to start a business there, right? Like at any moment, the communists could take it over and take it away from you. Right. So we saw this during the pandemic a lot. A lot of conservatives moved to Florida, for example. A lot of people moved out of California and into red states. Hopefully they don't vote that way. But Elon Musk and other Silicon Valley investors, they're going to have a massive impact if they do things like this. And I mean, with the fact that Elon Musk has announced that he is endorsing President Trump and spending a lot of money on President Trump, including bringing J.D. Vance on, which brings on a lot of Silicon Valley things. In terms of a cultural question here, Daniela, now that the dam has broken, it's like it's cool to be a Trump supporter. It's counterculture to be a Trump supporter. And now they don't have to fear in Silicon Valley as much, being a Republican, being a conservative. We're kind of seeing this is kind of a watershed moment, is it not?
It is a watershed moment, and I mean, this has been happening slowly but surely over the last few years. There was also that school in Florida, I believe, that DeSantis tried to bring up, which I forgot what it's called. It's called like New College, I think, where they have more of a more conservative bent. It used to be a liberal college, and then they turned it conservative. It's in Florida. But you've been seeing people trying to recapture certain institutions, whether that's academia or business or private business. Elon Musk certainly doing it in the business side, but you are seeing kind of like an reinvigoration of conservatives trying to take back some institutions because they're seeing that it slipped through their hands quite drastically for the last 20 years, 30 years, maybe even. And so they're just trying to bring that back and reclaim something. Because honestly, since COVID, I think that was a radicalizing moment for a lot of people. A lot of people lost their livelihoods. They couldn't feed their families. So in a way, I'm not happy that COVID happened, obviously, but in a way it's good that it did happen so people can recognize what's important right now. And what's really important is feeding themselves and their families. And when they see that the people in power, the elites, whatever you want to call them, and their, political predilections are preventing them from even living, I think that was a radicalizing enough moment for people to start stepping up. You've also seen this with the boycotts that have been happening. I've talked a lot about on this show with the beers, the transgender beers, and all this, at the movies. People have been boycotting that, small things like that as well at the ground level. But that grows over time, and then now you're seeing like major institutions and big figures like Elon Musk making big moves on the public stage, and that is scaring the left. I don't know if it's enough to scare them. What's also exciting is that I don't know if it's scaring them enough to go out and vote for Joe Biden. We will have to see. I honestly, after the assassination attempt, I think Trump has it in the bag. I don't want to get too confident. A lot of people feel that way though. But liberals and Democrats, they've been very comfortable for too long. So we'll wait and see if this actually has enough to change the direction of the election. But at least at the very least, it is reinvigorating and exciting conservatives again, I think, to get involved and also get more involved in politics as well.
Absolutely. If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, this lovely lady joining me now is Daniela Pensac. She joins us live on the Wake Up America show every Thursday at 8:30 a.m. Central Time. We're talking a little bit about cancel culture, Elon Musk taking his jobs and flying down to Texas with all of them and celebrating that as a big victory. Daniela, this is a great conversation, but do you think there's anything that we missed or something else that you'd like to share with us before we let you go today?
Well, I just want to I'll just reiterate the point that, it is important for people to get involved. I do, in a way, I do kind of have concerns about Elon Musk and people like him move out when there's bad things happening in the state as well. I see that a lot in Washington State. When we had our bad bills getting passed to break down the family, a lot of families moved to Florida as well. And you're seeing, and what happens is that people like me who still live in these states have to suffer even longer and fight the fight on our own, but hopefully though, with this diaspora and these people moving out of these states, it will kind of scare legislators, lawmakers in these states to do something about it, to actually maintain an economy. So we'll see. I will say though, if you are living in a state like I am, in a very liberal state, don't be discouraged. There are still like-minded people. It does radicalize, but it does get people out to vote and get involved. But at the end of the day, you have to do what works best for your family. But before I leave, Austin, I am going to plug myself once again. Guys, go to my Substack, read it. It's called The Dialectic Project. If not, if you just want to read quick stuff, just go to my Twitter. Follow me at Pensac Daniela.
Here we go. Follow her at Pensac Daniela and read her Substack. Daniela, thanks very much for your time. Thanks for getting up so early and being a warrior for our side. And congratulations on your new show. We're very excited to see what you come up with on the For Liberty Network.
It's going to be great. I hope I see everyone there who's watching right now.
They will.
Thank you so much.
They will. I know they will. Daniela, have a good one. Let's give her a round of applause. What say you?
He's an asshole. He should be locked up. Welcome to the ghetto. Welcome to hell. Welcome to hell. I hope your daughter get raped.
Oh, that's nice. Biden-Harris supporter, I hope your daughter get raped. You think that, no repercussions for this kind of behavior at all? These actions should not have consequences? I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can send me a text at 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586. The officer who confronted Thomas Matthew Crooks on the roof, the shooter, at the Trump event last weekend, the officer who confronted him radioed a, quote, blanket tactical channel that there was, quote, an individual on the roof with a weapon before the attempt on Donald Trump's life. Why wasn't President Trump immediately evacuated? Was the Secret Service listening to the blanket tactical channel? Two officers went to the lowest point of the building. One officer boosted the other high enough to reach the roof where he saw the shooter with a weapon. Crooks turned and pointed his weapon at the officer, who then ducked and fell off the roof. The boosting officer and the officer that fell were both on the radio, indicating there was an individual on the roof who did, in fact, have a weapon. There was a blanket tactical channel being used. Everyone who was on the tactical channel heard it. How much time was there between the radio communication and the gun being fired at President Trump? Now, it's bad enough that the Secret Service didn't put anyone on the most obvious roof 150 yards away. But after two police officers radioed in that there was a guy on the roof with a gun, why wasn't Trump immediately evacuated?
An individual on the roof did, in fact, see an individual on the roof with a weapon.
He saw the shooter.
He did.
Your officers are on patrol. They hear that there is a suspicious person on the rooftop. What did your officers do?
So our officers in the area started to converge on the building. My understanding is they did a full perimeter walk of the building, weren't able to see up on the roof. Two of the officers went to what appeared to be the lowest point from ground to roof. One of the officers actually boosted the second officer up high enough for him to grab hold of the roof. When he was able to pull his head up over the roof, he did in fact see an individual on the roof with a weapon.
He saw the shooter.
He did.
And what did the shooter do?
Turned towards him, had the barrel of his weapon pointed at the officer.
At that point, the officer's hanging on
Yes.
to the side of the roof,
Yes.
unable to pull a gun out,
Unable to
unable to defend himself, unable to reach his radio.
any of that. Yeah. Strictly defensive movement for him to lower his head, duck, lost his own grip, right? Fell approximately 8 feet to the ground.
That's a steep drop.
It's a good drop, yes.
Did he get hurt?
He did.
In that moment, did they realize there's a threat right now to the former president?
They did. So both the boosting officer and the officer that fell were both on the radio, indicating that there was an individual on the roof that did in fact have a weapon.
Who did they radio?
So there was a blanket tactical channel being
Everyone
used.
heard it.
Everyone that was on that tactical channel heard it, yes.
How much time between that radio communication and the gun being fired at the former president?
That I don't have that information.
We're going to find out that information. I promise you that. We're going to talk about something else, though, with our friend Joel Berry. He's going to join us live in 5 minutes. He posted this after the outrage came out of Harmeet Dillon at the Republican National Convention, who gave a Sikh prayer at the RNC. Joel Berry has been saying things like American evangelicals failed to fight for our republic and instead followed a bunch of weak-kneed centrists in North Face vests and skinny jeans into political irrelevancy. Think Santorum or Romney. So real fighters like Harmeet Dillon stepped into the gap. Sorry, evangelicals, you snooze, you lose. And of course, he says that as an evangelical. We're going to talk to Joel Berry. This show ain't over yet. We got a whole nother interview to go. It's bonus time. Maybe do a little shopping at forlibertyshop.com during the bonus content. I'll go get Joel Berry from the Babylon Bee. We're going to talk to him about that when we get back on the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network.
Expanse of time, a year might seem like a mere moment, but oh, what a year it's been. In September 2022, Austin and Stephanie Peterson embarked on a journey to wake up America. They began humbly, with just 20 souls tuning in, learning, listening, and though challenges arose, like the looming shadow of YouTube demonetization, their spirit never waned. And now, thanks to you, thousands rise with the sun to join them, to listen, to engage, to be a part of a community. So here's to you, and to Wake Up America, for memories shared, for friends made, for the journey ahead, and for never, ever forgetting to rise and freedom. Happy anniversary.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. Believe me, Austin Peterson is the best. He's got the greatest Wake Up America show I've ever seen. Whenever I tune in the mornings and watch the live stream, let me tell you, he has got the absolute best content. I love his guests. It's just a total blast to watch, and I highly endorse and recommend the Wake Up America show. It's terrific, believe me.
Is the outdoor your home about as exciting as a library? Then spice it up and unbore your space with our custom metal signs. Crafted with love and a bit of libertarian magic, you can customize your own metal sign at ap4libertyshop.com. So head to ap4libertyshop.com, customize your own metal sign today.
Welcome to a world of vocal discovery at Peterson Voice Studio. I'm Justin Peterson, here to guide your musical journey. Envision a place where your voice reaches new heights, where every note tells a story. We embrace all singers, from the enthusiastic shower vocalists to aspiring stars, ensuring each voice finds its unique rhythm and tone. Are you ready to elevate your voice? Visit petersonvoicestudio.com and sign up for remote lessons tailored just for you. Let's begin this melodious journey together.
Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP for Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's Revolutionary Roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's Patriotic Perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks, just pure
patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your founding flavors at apforlibertyshop.com. Welcome back to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. We're glad and thankful to have you here. Today's show going into overtime, a little bonus content for you. How do you like that? And thank you for sticking around. We're going to have a great guest here joining us here in just about a minute. But I wanted to remind you that you need to make sure to download the Rumble app. Once you download it, search for my channel and follow the channel directly on the app. That's going to make sure that you get a notification every time that we go live. You should click the link in the description or in the pinned live chat to download the Rumble app on your phone. It's free. But if you prefer to watch us on, say, the big screen, then you can also download the Rumble app on Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, Roku, LG, and Samsung TVs. All you need to do is search for Rumble. And coming soon, we're going to be on Xbox as well. So make sure you follow AP for Liberty over on the Rumble channel. And thank you to Rumble for fighting for free speech. Let's talk about evangelicals in the GOP. Now, you guys know I come from the Liberty wing of the Republican Party. So it's the sex, drugs, and rock and roll wing. Evangelicals, they look at us with a little bit of trepidation. But I've been seeing some things coming from the evangelicals that have sort of caught my eye. Now, I read the Babylon Bee every day. If I'm looking for the best in satire, I'm reading the Babylon Bee, checking their memes, wishing I was that funny, wishing I was that creative. So if I can't pull it off, then I'm just going to bring in the pinch hitters, the best in the business. Joel Berry joining us live. He's the managing editor of the Babylon Bee. How you doing, Joel?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me. I'm a big fan of your work and grateful that you gave us a little bit of your time today.
Yeah, for sure.
The Republican National Convention has probably been the most interesting one that I've seen in my lifetime. It's no longer the party of Mitt Romney. It's no longer the party of Rick Santorum or John McCain. It's the party of J.D. Vance and Donald Trump and Vivek Ramaswamy. I see this as a big improvement in many ways, but it's not the Republican Party of the Jerry Falwell moral majority years. It's not the party that puts Jerry Falwell on the stage. It's the party that puts Amber Rose and OnlyFans chicks up on the stage. It's the party that puts Sikh religious Sikh Indian women up on stage to give prayers to someone other than Jesus Christ of Nazareth. How does something like that make you feel, Joel?
Well, I think I had this in common with a lot of evangelicals watching this, particularly on the first night with Amber Rose and Harmeet. It was kind of jarring. Like, it's just something you're not used to seeing. We're used to seeing, kind of these milquetoast guys with good hair, spouting Christian platitudes from the stage and placating evangelicals, every 4 years. That's what we're used to seeing. and this new Republican Party, if you'll call it that, is a lot more colorful, a lot more fun, definitely a lot more diverse. I think in a lot of ways that's a good thing. I think the only caution I have about it is that I'm a evangelical Christian. I do believe that Protestant Christianity in particular is really at the core of the American identity. It's in our DNA. I think it's a very important part of the founding of this country. And I do believe that without a strong Protestant Christian presence in this country, I don't know if American liberty can survive without it. And so I think it's very important for Christians to still have a strong voice, if not be in the driver's seat. The only problem, though, is Christians have, I guess, for lack of a better term, been in the driver's seat for 20 years and have given us nothing but failure and weakness and giving up on these important cultural and political battles. And so, I think that evangelicals kind of have no one to blame for this but themselves. I think that, coming from someone inside the church, the main message to a lot of, mainstream evangelicals has been, we're above politics. We don't want to get involved in politics. Politics is dirty. Trump is bad. Of course, we took a break for a little while to march with BLM and tell everyone to wear COVID masks. But other than that, no politics. And so we kind of just gave up that whole realm. Um, and this is the result. And so, of course, the Republican Party is going to look beyond evangelicals and find people who are fighters and winners, and they have. And so if Christians want to kind of regain their voice in the party and in this country, they're going to have to emerge from their pristine little mega church complexes and get involved in the nasty, dirty, muddy world of politics again. And so it remains to be seen if that'll happen. I do think that on our side, I think revival needs to happen first, because in a lot of ways the evangelical church has lost its witness. I think it's dead in a lot of ways. It's weak in a lot of ways. So we have to fix ourselves first. I think we need to repent, and hopefully spiritual revival will come from that, and kind of bring more of a natural, organic reemergence of Christianity in the culture, as opposed to us like imposing it on the country, like you see some kind of Christian nationalists do.
Obviously, I was raised in the Protestant tradition, read the Bible 6 times, big fan of Jesus of Nazareth, but I've since left the church since I was about 18 or 19 years old. I spent a few years as, a edgy atheist before starting to recognize that the confidence in my beliefs very much mirrored the religious people that I was criticizing, and settled into what I call, I guess you might say, a squishy agnosticism, which is is an openness to the idea. But what I found is that that the fellow travelers of my belief system were not my fellow secularists. I found that they tended to be evangelical Christians, sometimes Catholic Christians, and people who that largely the people who shared my beliefs, which I found to be much more important than my religious beliefs, was about my ability to protect my freedoms. Because if I didn't have religious liberty, then I couldn't believe what I wanted to believe. And so the political question had to come first to an extent. So what I see happening, Joel, and I wonder, this might not make you feel good when I say this, but what I see happening now is that amongst the evangelical right, who are outraged over the appearance of Amber Rose and Harmeet Dillon on the stage giving Sikh prayers and advancing a culture that is not evangelical conservatism, is that there seems to be a persecution culture that if you're not in the driving seat, if you're not in charge, if you're not telling other people what to do all the time, then that equates to some form of persecution. And it's kind of like what's happening right now is that people like Donald Trump are saying things like, we're not going to exclude LGBT anymore from the Republican Party. We're going to have Caitlyn Jenner in the Republican Party and people like that. We're going to have libertarians like Austin Peterson, libertines like Austin Peterson in the Republican Party, and they're going to be here on equal footing with you. You guys are welcome in the tent. But what I see happening is evangelicals are like, you don't want us, you don't want to have anything to do with us, you're trying to kick us out. But nobody's trying to kick you out. We're just saying you're going to have to tolerate people.
It's a bigger tent now.
Yeah, it's a
get
bigger
along
tent
with people.
now.
Play nice.
Can you do that?
Yeah, I think so. I hope so. I think it is essential going forward. If we want to win, we're going to have to play nice with others. We're going to have to accept a bigger tent. I think, I don't want to speak for all evangelicals, but if I can try to articulate what I think a lot of the concern is, kind of what I alluded to a little bit earlier, is that I think that American liberty, one of the cornerstones of American liberty is Christianity, and it can't survive without it, I think. People always quote the classic John Adams line that the Constitution was written for a moral and religious people, and it's inadequate for the government of any other. And I think that if Christianity continues to wane in the culture and in our politics, I think we'll increasingly lose our ability for self-governance, because it has that ability to restrain the people and keep them moral, so that you don't have to have the strong arm of government coming in all the time. And so, I'm okay with a pluralistic society. And Thomas Jefferson, one of my favorite things that he said was that if Christianity is true, it doesn't need the power of government to stand up it should be able to stand on its own. And I absolutely agree with that. And I think, but I do think that, you know, the principles of liberty and religious freedom, separation of church and state, I do think that all those are derived from, at their core, from Christian ideas. And so I think, just for the sake of, I'm a liberal. I get a lot of heat from my hardcore, Christian nationalist friends about that. But I do think that if we lose Christianity, we lose liberty. So that's my only concern. I want to preserve liberty in this country. And
Love hearing you say that, Joel. I love hearing you say that. And people, the left tries to characterize the MAGA movement as a Christian nationalist movement, which it is not. The interesting situation that we find ourselves in is when we look at the past. The Christian nationalist movement will frequently say that America was founded as a Christian nation, and that we should return to its ideological roots. But if that is the case, and like you said earlier, you talked about Protestantism, that would necessarily exclude Catholics. So I do sometimes joke that when the Groypers are talking about returning to a form of Christian nationalism, I will say that's fine as long as Catholics are excluded, as was the original intent.
That's right.
Of the founding fathers, because it wasn't until the 1960s. I mean, you're laughing, but it is very much true, right? The founding fathers,
they were aggressively, a lot of them were aggressively anti-Catholic. Yeah.
Correct. Right. And for the reason, and many of them, Joel, and they're not going to like us saying this, but for the reason that we see today, they feared the imperial tendencies of the Catholic Church. They feared the authoritarianism and the lack of a belief in a wall of separation of church and state. At the National Conservative Conference last week, they said the founders weren't for the separation of church and state. I'm like, have you ever been to Monticello and seen Thomas Jefferson's grave?
Yeah.
Or read the Virginia Articles of a Declaration of Religious Liberty? Those were his words.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the early colonialists were running from the Catholic Church or the Church of England and the oppression of the church in Europe. And so, I think, it's very important to protect the separation of church and state. Evangelicals have never believed that our beliefs can be enforced at the point of a gun. It's how do you do that? How do you it's this weird thing where we're not theonomists. We don't want a theocracy. We don't want a Christian official Christian religion enforced by government, but we still need to find a way to make sure that Christianity doesn't go away. And I think most of that is on us as Christians and in our churches, in our communities. I mean, one of the things that was, I think, shocking to so many in the church is after Roe versus Wade went away, we suddenly realized that most of the people in our neighborhoods, in our cities, and even in conservative states were for abortion. I live in Ohio. We passed issue 1, which legalized abortion up until the moment of birth, no questions asked. And a lot of Christians were shocked by that. Well, we abandoned our mission to evangelize the world around us, to talk to our neighbors, to spread the good news of the gospel and all that other stuff that Christians are supposed to be doing. Evangelism for the last 20 years has been limited to, hey, do you want to come to my mega church, on Star Wars night and watch a movie? Like that's how we've been evangelizing. We haven't been speaking the truth boldly to our culture. We haven't been, spreading the gospel. And so we have a lot of work to do if we want to change our culture and bring revival to this country, which I think revival is desperately needed. I would love to see that. I would love to see a more Christian nation. I think that's essential to liberty. So,
is there an insecurity there on behalf of those who don't believe in a separation of church and state? It sort of conveys a lack of fundamental belief in the power of the ideas of Christianity to want and have them enforced by the government.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for a lot of those guys. I think some of it is feels a little bit of like a desperation. Like you get the sense that we're losing, and what else can we do? Seizing power in government is kind of a quick fix. Doing what Christians are supposed to be doing is a lot harder, and it's a long game. We're talking about living in obedience to Christ for 40, 50 years, before you maybe see the results that you want. It's a lot easier to just like, seize power and enforce the country that you want. But, you know, yeah, I think a little bit of it is desperation. I don't know if it's a lack of trust or a lack of security in our beliefs, but I do think a lot of it is born out of genuine, care and concern for the country. I want to steel man these guys, and I think a lot of us, we love our neighbors. We want to see our country thrive, and we want to see our neighbors doing well. And a lot of Christians genuinely believe that, um, getting rid of separation of church and state, reinstituting some kind of a Christian government is the best way to do that. Kind of this post-liberal idea.
Well, it's
I don't know.
fascinating. It's fascinating because if you want to vote for the Christian, if their Christianity or devotion to Christianity is the most important thing that you vote for in a candidate, and I hear that all the time, especially on my state level of politics, that their religious beliefs are the most important thing. Joe Biden is the clear choice for president. Because compared to Donald Trump and his backgrounds, I mean, considering the theological views of both of them, Joe Biden would be the clear winner. And of course, we realize that that's nonsense. But I'd like to ask you specifically, when you talk about evangelicals, how they've been misled or allowed themselves to be misled by men in skinny jeans and sweater vests. What are you talking? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I think the last 20 years there's been a bit of a backlash in the evangelical world against the moral majority Jerry Falwell era of the church. So, that era, the 80s, 90s, we kind of swung the pendulum to the other side, and we kind of thought, well, we don't want to be Jerry Falwell. We don't want to be these kind of culture warriors. That's icky. That's a little cringy. And so kind of this new movement in the church, began to come out, and it was more winsome. Let's try to make the church look pleasing to the world, and let's not get into politics. Let's stay out of politics. And a lot of Christians for the last 20 years, especially conservative Christians, have been shamed by the top leaders in evangelicalism if they are too involved in politics, if they're too outspoken about their conservative beliefs. And it's kind of led to this kind of anemic Christianity that we're building our mega churches and our satellite locations, and we're just kind of doing our little thing in our small groups. And we've completely left the political realm, our education system, local elections, school boards, city councils. We've left that to communists who are taking over these realms very quickly. You have people like Mike Johnson, who on paper is like a card-carrying evangelical. He believes all the right things. He's one of us. We were all, even me, like when he initially got chosen as speaker, yay, like this is going to be great. And he has funded abortion. He's funding Ukraine without question. He's doing everything that the left wants him to do. He's not a fighter. And so I think a lot of Christians are realizing that just having the right beliefs on paper don't necessarily make you a good, strong leader or politician. So we need to reevaluate that.
It's a fascinating insight. For those who might just be tuning into the Wake Up America show, I'm speaking to Joel Berry. He's a managing editor of the Babylon Bee, talking a little bit about Christianity, evangelicalism, and the new Republican Party. If you're enjoying the content, please click like and follow the channel. We'd love to have you join us on the Wake Up America show 5 days a week, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. We're going into a little bit of bonus content today so we can have this conversation with Joel. So where do we go from here, I guess, is the question. I mean, we have this coalition. I mean, what do evangelical conservatives need to do at this point with the Republican Party that we have? I mean, we're going to battle. You always go to battle with the army that you have, not the army that you wish that you have. So you've got an OnlyFans model, Amber Rose. You've got J.D. Vance. You've got some groypers who are still with Trump, who haven't, who don't think that he's completely sold out to the Jews, perhaps. And you've got libertarians like me and Vivek Ramaswamy and others. Where do we go from here, Joel?
Yeah, well, I like that. I like your point. You have to work with the army that you have. You know, I love my good Lord of the Rings reference. You know, you look at what they had to do to defeat Sauron and destroy the ring. You had all these different groups of people that didn't really get along with each other, kind of forming this fellowship, right? We kind of have to form this new fellowship. Um, and so going forward, I think this is a wake up call to evangelicals. I think that we are going to have to be willing to bring our faith into the realm of politics. I think starting at the local level, I think we need to be electing our people to, you know, Republican chair positions and county, you know, at the county and city level, you know, city council, school boards, all those things, and realize that this is not like, you know, we have to get out of this Gnostic idea that, you know, we're just like living in this spiritual cloud over here and let the world do what it's going to do. It's like, no, Christians are called to be salt and light. Our presence in the world is supposed to make a real, actual, tangible difference. And so we just have to start being more active, and we have to recognize that it's going to look a little dirty and messy, and Christians are going to run for office and the left is going to destroy them, and they're going to find their internet search history and they're going to realize how hypocritical and sinful Christians really are because we all are sinful. And it's going to be ugly and it's going to be difficult, but you know, our nation was founded by men who pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to birth this, you know, for this new birth of liberty. And Christians we need this gut check. What are we willing to lose our reputation? Are we willing to lose our wealth? All the things that Donald Trump is losing, you know, to save this country, are Christians willing to do the same? And so, got to get our faith out of the church building. We got to take it into the public square, and we got to speak the truth loudly. We got to run for those positions. We got to be bold and be willing to take the hits.
I would have thought the guy that writes the most hilarious memes you've ever seen about Joe Biden and Donald Trump over at the Babylon Bee had such a strong intellectual foundation. Maybe that's why the memes are so biting and hilarious. Managing editor of the Babylon Bee, Joel Berry, thank you for being so generous with your time today. Is there anything that you think that we missed or anything maybe you'd like to plug before we let you go today?
I don't think so. Well, if I maybe I can plug something. We have a new book coming out in November. It's called The Babylon Bee Guide to the Apocalypse. So no matter who wins November, we know that the world is going to end any minute here, and this is your complete guide to survival. So pick it up. It's available for pre-order. But yeah, I appreciate what you're doing, Austin. You're doing good work. There's this weird, I love that there's kind of this weird new conversation on the right, you know, between kind of like the liberals and then like the more kind of the nationalist types. I think it's a good conversation to have. I think both sides have good things to say, and I'm interested to see kind of where the conversation leads us, how it plays out.
Yeah, for sure. I feel sometimes like the lone wolf in the wilderness. You know, I'm too libertarian for conservatives and too conservative for libertarians. So I guess I'll just, you know, I'll be the turd in the punch bowl at the GOP, reminding everyone of our roots. Hey, great work over there at the Babylon Bee. I read it every day. It's hilarious. I pull thanks, quotes from you guys all the time for the show. So thanks for what you guys do, Joel, and thanks for your time today.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much. Let's give him a round of applause. What say you, Joel Berry? Follow the Babylon Bee over on X.com. Appreciate you very much. All right, we went into overtime today. So you know what that means, huh? That means that you have to go and exit through the Grift Shop today, right? You're going to go to forlibertyshop.com. And I know some of you were like, I'll wait until tomorrow to buy the manga Japanese Donald Trump Lives shirt. Donald Trump wa ikiru. What itakiru. Hai, onegashimasu. Donald Trump Lives Japanese manga shirt created by yours truly. Donald Trump Lives in Japanese on the side. You can only get that shirt at forlibertyshop.com. So go buy one as a sort of a thank you. Hey, Austin, you know, I didn't know I was going to get an extra show segment today. So I'm gonna go bless you in such a way.
Can you bless me with something?
Oh, gosh.
Money-wise. Please.
Can you suck it?
What?
Enjoy that Donald Trump Lives Japanese manga shirt. We've got a whole collection of incredible Courage Under Fire tee you can see only at forlibertyshop.com, where I designed most of these things. I think pretty much every one of these things. You can find them at forlibertyshop.com. Exit through the Grift Shop, and we'll see you guys here tomorrow Freedom Family Friday. Me and Steffi on the Wake Up America show at the 4 Liberty Network.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
American conservatism is distinct, like America is distinct from the United Kingdom. American conservatism's roots comes out of the Wild West, out of pioneerism. The difference between American conservatives and European conservatives is that Americans are cowboys. We are that God, guns, gold, and girls. It's wild here, and we should stay that way. We shouldn't allow a European version of conservatism to come and infect us here. We like it wide open spaces here, you know, deep in the heart of Texas and all that.
Hey there, it's your favorite Vice President Joe Biden. I wanted to talk to you today about the Wake Up America show, the best source for all your political news and commentary. But before I get started, let me just make sure I have all my notes in order. Okay, where was I? All right, the Wake Up America show. It's a great way to stay informed and make your voice heard. Boy, what was I saying again? Oh, right. The Wake Up America show. It's important that we all stay engaged and knowledgeable about what's going on in our country and, the thing. But hold on, where was I going with all this? Oh, yeah. The Wake Up America show. It's a fantastic resource. And if you really want to make a difference, man, you can sign up to be a monthly donor at wakeupAmericaShow.com/support. Now, where was I? Oh, that's right, the Wake Up America show. So if you want to stay woke and support a great cause, head on over to wakeupAmericaShow.com/support and sign up to be a monthly donor today. And if you're feeling generous, you can even give a donation in my name. Thanks for listening, and keep on keeping on, America. Come on, man.